Welcome to the Brand Success Podcast, where you'll hear amazing stories from people like you who overcame their fears, frustrations, and obstacles on their way to brand success. Join us to be inspired by how they persevered, pivoted, and powered on to success. Not easy, but they did it, and so can you.
So I'm Kay Wagner, host of Brand Success, and I'm delighted today to have with us Rob Goyette. And Rob's going to talk about his brand, Fast Revenue Coaching, which is really kind of a revolutionary business model, if you will, within the coaching industry. And before we get started with some questions about what the secret sauce is of your brand success, Rob, let's get some background from you. Who are you? Where'd you come from? And why should we listen to you?
Sure. I'll try to keep it brief. In 2007, Christian Michelson and I, a lot of people know him. He's a big name in the coaching industry. We were friends, and his business really started taking off. And so around 2007, I asked him, could I join your team? And he said yes. So I actually joined him, and I helped him with a lot of the areas of his business, like marketing and being his JV manager and Facebook ads and Google ads. I don't know if it was Facebook ads yet, but anyway. I started working with him. And as I started working with him as his JV manager, I got to know a lot of his partners, and a lot of them hired me also. So I really kind of, got to know the coaching industry really well by supporting a lot of the current leaders in the coaching niche. And in 2014, I decided to see if I could help myself. So what I mean by that is I was helping all these leaders build their lists and make irresistible offers. And I thought, well, I wonder if I could do that. So I started building a list of coaches and coming up with what I felt were irresistible offers. And it worked really well. So since 2014, I've kind of had my own quote unquote business. Whereas before I was supporting all these other businesses.
Right. Good. Great.
Yeah.
I know you've done very well in your own business. So let's talk about what's behind the secret sauce of your brand success, the brand being Fast Revenue Coaching.
Sure. So
when you started it, what exactly did you have in mind for that? What was the impetus for that?
Yeah, well, the program itself, just to give a one-sentence summary or so, is offering 15-minute laser coaching to clients, and it's unlimited. They can have as many coaching sessions as they want, but there's a homework rule which keeps things a little more reasonable in that between sessions, clients have homework, and they have to do their homework before they can schedule their next call. So what really started it for me was I was scratching my head, and I thought, I'd like to get some more coaching clients, but I know that my fees of, I think at the time it was $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month. And that was not always an easy yes for clients. And I was trying to think, what's an easy yes for people? And it occurred to me, what if it was unlimited coaching rather than just once a week? And what if the price point was so low that it became a quote unquote irresistible offer?
Right.
So I tried it out, and I sent an offer out to my list, and I think the first time I sent it out, 8 people signed up. And I remember very specifically my wife being nervous about this. She's like, you just gave 8 people unlimited coaching with you for a year. And I was kind of nervous too, because I didn't know what was going to happen. This was,
right.
As far as I knew, and still know, nobody had done this before. And so, but that first month went really well. And I actually found myself with more energy at the end of those calls than at the beginning. Like in a normal coaching call that for me was usually an hour and a half to 2 hours, I would find myself tired at the end of the call, ready for it to be over. Yeah, but at the end of these laser coaching sessions, I found myself with more energy. So I decided to offer it again. And I think another 8 people enrolled. Over the course of that year, it was over 50 one-on-one clients who had paid me for a year or sometimes 2 years in advance for this unlimited coaching. And the interesting thing is that people, it's kind of like joining a gym membership. They don't use it as much as time goes on. So in the beginning, they use it a lot, and then it kind of tapers off. One of my students ran a study, and I think the average number of coaching sessions over the course of a year, for his people anyway, was 7.2, and that's about the same in mine. So what that told me is that it's actually a really high ROI for the coach as well. If on average you're spending about 2 hours coaching a client and getting paid, I offer it at $9.97. So that's anyway, I'm giving you a lot of detail, but the bottom line is
Right.
it worked really well for me. And I thought, if this works well for me as a coach, I wonder if it would work for other coaches to offer their clients. And so I started developing the brand. And so I call it fast revenue coaching. I could call it like just laser coaching, but I think fast revenue coaching really speaks to the benefit, because the way that it works is that it puts money into coaches' bank accounts quickly, hence the fast revenue. And then the feature of the brand is coaching. It's a coaching program. So it's the fast revenue coaching program.
Yeah. And I think too, Rob, you kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of identifying the pain for coaches, which is, it's a tough business. People think it's really easy to get into, and everybody talks about the, a 6-figure, 7-figure, or what they now call the 2 commas, revenue. But you don't do that overnight. And that doesn't happen, just out of the gate. And so to be able to have a piece of a business model that generates fast revenue really, I think, speaks to what you've seen as a hole or a gap in the marketplace.
Yeah, it's. I like to think of the fast revenue coaching as a baby step for clients to get to know the coach and start working with them. Mm-hmm. And then as they start using the coaching less and less, you can reach out to those clients and say, hey, it looks like you're not using the coaching as much as we thought you would. Maybe we should apply this $997 you've spent on a higher end program with more accountability. And that's actually what I've been doing. I've got what I call a VIP weekend, and it's 3 days where I just basically set up an automated marketing funnel for my clients. And so I've had a lot of laser coaching clients apply that initial $997 toward a higher end package with me. And it's worked really well.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Yeah.
Good. So, so what you really wanted to achieve was to help coaches bring in money quickly. Mm-hmm. And who specifically do you serve? I know you serve coaches, but are there any niches within that, or is that a broad or a more defined category that you have?
Yeah, it's funny because it's actually even more broader than coaches. So I've not come across a niche within coaching where this doesn't work. A lot of people think, well, I'm an EFT coach, or I really need to spend a lot of one-on-one time with my clients. I can't just do 15-minute sessions. But in every case, we found out how that is possible. And I'll just give you the answer. It's often by creating exercises for the clients to go through in between the calls. So in other words, the progress is made between the calls, and the coaching calls are really just kind of check-in calls. And so it may take creating some exercises for clients to do, but the good news is the first time you have a client that needs an exercise and you create that exercise, you then have it for future clients. So yeah, it as far as I know, it works in every niche. It works in every niche I'm aware of. And I'm thinking of expanding it to other areas like accountants and lawyers and, really anyone who has clients, because it's a really great model for people to get to know the coach and then make some progress, but also be open to maybe investing in a higher level or higher package with them once they've learned to trust the coach better.
Right. Yeah. It seems to me it would have broad application.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's an irresistible offer. And Kay, what I like to tell coaches and other people is that what sells anything are 2 factors. It's trust and an irresistible offer. And so the laser coaching, the fast revenue coaching is an example of an irresistible offer, but really it works in anything. If your stuff is not selling, there's either a problem that people don't believe you. They either don't believe you can get them the results, or they think you're going to steal their credit card number or something, but there's not enough trust, or the offer is not irresistible enough, or it's both. And so, but that's a great way to troubleshoot. If you're not selling what you think you should be selling, look at trust and look at your irresistible offer, because it's most likely one of those 2 or both.
Right. So we'll come back to that specifically once we get through your story here, because I think it's really important for people to understand how to build that trust.
Yeah.
Because that is such an ingredient into the whole relationship, and has to be earned, right? So we'll come back to that. So you've been in the coaching industry since 2007, and when you began to bring this to market, and you had these successes from your clients. So you were signing clients up for fast revenue coaching. What did you see happen in terms of how clients progressed and how they learned in these short bursts of coaching as opposed to what you were talking about before? Like the difference in a longer coaching session where sometimes it goes on and on and on, and clients may not even stay focused, right?
Yeah.
And now you are into this, very short, intentional, laser focused kind of situation. Did you see differences in how results happened and how clients progressed forward?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say that clients got results in both with the longer marathon coaching as well as with the laser coaching.
Right.
But I mean, I can just reflect back on some of those marathon coaching calls where, the client just wants to vent or just wants to talk,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
and we really don't make a lot of progress. Now, usually somewhere in that 1.5 to 2 hours, we get to the progress part. So, but with the laser coaching, what I like to say is we skip the chit chat, and clients understand that. They're like, oh, if we skip the chit chat and get right down to business, that sounds good to me too. And
Yes.
especially if you're in a niche where your clients are busy,
Mm-hmm.
this laser coaching is really attractive to them.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you can cut to the chase, get right to it. And that's
Yeah.
kind of an agreed upon procedure.
Mhm.
Like
Yes, exactly.
client gets that, you get that, and you just move forward.
Yeah.
So over the years, tell us how your journey went.
Sure. And luckily you sent me that question ahead of time so that I could actually reflect on that. And now I have it in front of me. So yeah,
Right.
so the way that I phrased my journey, at least last night when I was typing my notes, is that, so I came up with a scary idea for a new coaching program. And it was scary to me because I had never seen anyone do it and I'd never done it myself. And I was putting myself on the line for a year of unlimited coaching with
Mhm.
these clients. That's why I limited it to 8. I thought, okay, if this is like crazy, at least it's confined to 8 people. And that's actually what I recommend if coaches use this model is, start with just 8 or so people. But I came up with a scary idea for a new coaching program, and then I tried it out and it worked better than I expected. One result I didn't expect to have was having more energy at the end of each call. Like the calls are energizing. I don't know why that is, but maybe just in contrast with the marathon calls. But yeah, it worked out better than I expected, and people signed up right away. Those 50 plus clients I signed up, I had no strategy sessions. I didn't have to get on a call with anyone and try to sell them on it. In my case, I usually would send out some emails to my audience. And if you don't have a list, you can go into your sent items folder and just look for people in there who would be good clients who trust you. But also, I remember enrolling 10 clients at a live event. I was walking around with my phone with one of those credit card swipers, and I had someone introduce me to some people, which was nice. But once that trust was there, the laser coaching is the irresistible offer. So it turned out that clients sign up for this very easily if they trust the coach, that the coach can get them the results. So
Right.
the next step that I wrote down, I'm reading here, is so once I had proven that it worked for me, I decided to go ahead and create a course around it. And the way that I did it is I actually I reached out to my audience and I said, hey, I'm going to create this course. Would you like to show up and learn from me live? So I taught it live with 20 people on the call.
Okay.
And I started at a low price point just to get some bodies in the seats. And they started having good results, which reaffirmed to me that, okay, it's not just me, it works for all these different coaches. One comes to mind who's in he's a health coach. He teaches eating plant-based food. And I don't remember his numbers, but I think he got at least 10 clients right away. And so it proved to me, okay, this works in other niches. It works for other coaches. And so I had this course now, these recorded calls. And so what I did is I polished up the course, and then I added a lot of bonuses, because when we sell stuff, bonuses can help people say yes. So I added some bonuses, and I think I had already come up with the name of the course when I reached out to my list to say I'm teaching this live, and I came up with fast revenue coaching. And I've got a formula for how to come up with stuff like that, which is essentially the benefit and then the feature. So the benefit for coaches is fast revenue because it puts money in their account within 4 days. The feature is it's a coaching program. So I've got another program I offer. I mentioned it earlier. It's that VIP weekend, that 3-day weekend I do with clients. Well, the name of that is the Get It Done VIP weekend. So get it done is the benefit because we actually get their funnel set up. And then VIP weekend is the feature. And so benefit plus feature can work really well for creating a brand. So I added these bonuses, then I bought the domain name to match the brand. And usually when I'm choosing a brand name for something, I'll see if the domain name is available. If it's not, then I'll keep thinking until I find a domain name that's available. That kind of gives me peace of mind that I'm not infringing on someone else's brand or their work, their title. And so I got the domain name fastrevenuecoaching.com. And then I created an automated webinar to sell the course for almost like a passive income strategy. And so I created this webinar where I teach the model. And at the end of the webinar, it says, if you want to buy the course, you can do that. And you get all these bonuses that I mentioned and all the support. So again, along my journey, I created this webinar. And over time, I realized that people could really benefit from having a quick start call. So that I call that now an unannounced bonus. It's not in the webinar, but when people buy, they get this email that says, hey, here's an unannounced bonus. You get a quick start call to make sure that you get the most from your investment and from the course. And people love that quick start call.
The quick start call is a half an hour?
Oh, yeah. It's a 30-minute quick start call. That's correct. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And here at the end of the journey, I get testimonials all the time. In fact, I don't know if you're willing to mention what you told me at the beginning of this call, but I know you've used the model. And I got a testimonial yesterday from a guy. It's like the testimonials come in all the time from coaches who they try this out. And if those two factors are in place, trust and an irresistible offer, it works. And so if clients trust you, then the laser coaching is an example of an irresistible offer.
Right. And I would say, Rob, from my personal experience in offering, this program is, so I think like most people, you start out and you say, what can you achieve in 15 minutes, right? That can really make a difference and help people make progress with whatever it is that they're, working on and want to be held accountable for. And so what I found was that because it is 15 minutes and you're very focused and you're very intentional and you're not just like throwing something up against the wall to see if it sticks. You have homework, or, they being the clients have homework that they're coming back in and reporting on and vetting and going through. And so what I found that happens is that because it is 15 minutes and you have this agreed upon commitment to achieve something in 15 minutes and then have, homework for the next step, that people do come prepared. And I think, my experience with it is that because you do set that rule, and the rule being, don't set the appointment until you have the homework done, right? So that way, they know you're ready to go the minute, the clock starts ticking. And so my testimonial would be that it absolutely works. And that when people are serious about making progress, that this is really an effective tool.
Yeah, well, thank you, Kay. Yeah, it's so cool. Sometimes, like, just in case anybody wants to try this, and you mentioned the homework rule, sometimes clients will be a little sneaky and they'll schedule 2 or 3 calls onto my calendar because they have the link, right? But you don't want to give way on that. So if that happens to you, reach out to the client and say, hey, remember, there's a homework rule. You can schedule your next appointment once your homework's complete, because otherwise they have in mind they'll be talking to you every week. And so what I usually do is I usually say, so you know what, we'll keep your next 2 appointments and I'm going to delete the rest of the ones you created. But then from now on, you got to do your homework before you schedule your next call. And they're fine with that. And they appreciate, having 2 calls scheduled in that one exception.
Yeah. So, so this whole thing really, like, you got this idea, you brought it to market, and that's where you always know if it's going to work or not. It works in the marketplace, not only at the level with the clients, but also with coaches wanting to use the model as well. So you've built the brand. The brand's been successful, continues to be successful. So what would you say to someone wanting to build their brand? What would be the 3 most important things that you would, pieces of advice that you would give?
Sure. So the first thing is consider what I mentioned earlier about the benefit and the feature. If you can think of, what are the results you get for people and how is it delivered? So fast revenue is the benefit, coaching is the feature. Get it done is the benefit, VIP weekend is the feature. In fact, when I offer laser coaching, not how to do it, not the course, but the actual, when I'm offering this to my clients, the name of my coaching program that I've branded is Get It Done Coaching or Get It Done Laser Coaching. I use both of those. So, but Get It Done, that's the benefit. And then coaching is the feature. So that's the first thing that I would recommend is that formula. Now you don't have to use that. There are lots of other brands out there that don't, but if you just need an easy formula, it's benefit plus feature. The second thing is to get the domain name for your brand. I mentioned that earlier that, when I'm coming up with a brand name, I'll go check and see if the domain name's available. And of course, buy the domain name. And then the third is to reinforce your brand as often as you can. Use it in conversations. So I've got this fast revenue coaching program, and exactly what it does, it puts revenue in coaches' bank accounts quickly. But by repeating the brand over and over again, it starts to stick in people's heads, and then they start talking about it. And when they're talking about it, and you have the domain name, maybe they Google it, maybe they just take a shot at the domain name, but they can find you.
Okay, so what do you wish you would have done differently?
I was thinking about that. I don't know if I just got lucky or whatever, but this has been really successful. And so I thought, well, I'm actually pretty happy with the way things worked out. But the one thing is my branding colors and logo. I only recently created those. And so I'll probably go back in time and apply my new logo and colors and stuff to my stuff. But I haven't found that to be critical for people buying. Again, it's just trust in an irresistible offer that causes people to sign up for things. But now that I have my colors and I have my logo, I like them. I'll start using those. And by the way, the reason for consistency like that is so that, a good word is congruence. In other words, someone goes from your opt-in page over to your thank you page. If they see the same colors and the same logo, they know they're in the right place. So I think that's a really good reason to use branding. In this case with logos and colors, but it can also be your name. If they see the Fast Revenue Coaching webinar and then they see the Fast Revenue Coaching program, congruence is really important, and that's what branding does.
Right. And I think that's really what people are looking for, is that consistency and that congruency. Do you really come through on what you say? Yeah. Do you do what you say you're going to do? And branding is a way of, branding is kind of a shortcut to show that. That you are consistent and you are intentional. So what does the future look like for your brand?
Yeah, so I mentioned that a little earlier on the call or maybe it was before we started recording, I don't remember, but so it works really well for coaches in all these different niches. Yeah, it was on during the recording. But now I'm starting to reach out to accountants because I was thinking, I'd love to be a laser coaching client for my accountant where I can ask this guy questions, have these 15-minute calls to save a whole bunch of money in taxes. And it would work well for attorneys. Really, anyone who has clients, if you want the results they offer, from a client standpoint, it's irresistible. Like I've actually signed up for laser coaching with several of the people who bought my programs because I want what they offer. It's irresistible to the client. And so, and revenue-wise, like you'll because the average number of calls is somewhere around 7.2 or let's just say 8, that's 2 hours of your time. And if you're charging $1,000, that's about $500 an hour you're making. So it's irresistible for the coach and it's irresistible for the client. So I'm going to go more broad with it than just the coaching niche. I would say that's the future.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I think it could certainly apply to a broader market. So that's a good direction. Okay. So what is your biggest lesson learned?
Sure. And I guess I have to give credit to Tony Robbins for this. At least that's where I first heard about it. And I think he calls it his ultimate success formula. And I'm not going to say it word for word, but essentially you need to take action. Just do something.
Right.
Notice what's working, notice what's not, and then start doing course correction, start changing what you're doing. So I think he gives the analogy of an airplane flying to Hawaii that's off course most of the time, but they're always course correcting so that the airplane gets to Hawaii. Well, it's the same thing. So, and that's why when I took that first scary step of offering the laser coaching to my audience, I didn't know what was going to happen. And so, and my wife, again, I still remember that conversation. But then luckily that worked. But if it hadn't worked, I'd keep course correcting until I found something that did, or I'd realize, okay, this is not a good idea. Let me focus on another idea.
Okay, good. Great.
Yeah.
So I want to ask a question about this whole thing of trust and irresistible offers. So let's break this down a little bit. The elements of trust, and I think most people might understand those better than they understand what are the elements or the characteristics that you look at in terms of an irresistible offer.
Sure.
So if you could kind of break down both of those pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to hop back over to trust for just a second. And that's that people need to trust you on two levels. As a person, like you're not going to run away with their credit card number. They need to trust that you're an honest person. That's why sometimes at the beginning of a webinar, people will say, oh yeah, I live in this location. I've got a spouse and some kids. Like, oh, okay. So if you got a spouse, that's someone who trusts you. If you've got kids, they probably trust you. So they need to trust you as a person. And then they need to trust you as the expert who can get them the results they want. If you tell me, hey, Rob, I can help you make $1 million in the next 30 days. If I truly believe that, then we're off to a great start. If I don't believe you, though, then it's not going to happen. So they need to trust that you're a good person, but also that you can get them the results they want. So that's the trust piece. Now, the irresistible offer, the nice thing about this is it's easy to say is it's a no-brainer for the right person. So in other words, it should just be an easy yes. If the trust is already in place and someone says, yeah, I could spend $997 with you. And by the way, there's a little bit of a better way to phrase the $997 for a year of coaching. And that is saying it's less than $84 a month when you break it out that way. Now, I still recommend coaches charge the full $997 up front. But when the client realizes for less than $87 a month, I could be getting these kind of results with you, whether it's health or relationship or business or whatever. That's usually a very irresistible price point, which is why the laser coaching sells so well. But you can sell anything with this model of trust and an irresistible offer. The irresistible offer is a no-brainer for someone who wants what you have to offer.
So is an irresistible offer a combination of a lower price with a higher value or just a very clear, specific value?
It's where the value they get is much bigger than the money they're spending. So in their minds, the perceived value, if I feel like, yes, I really could make $1 million with you and all I have to spend is $100,000, if I truly believe that, that's the trust piece, then, the offer is irresistible. Why wouldn't you spend $100,000 to make $1 million? It's irresistible. It's a no-brainer because you're giving this much value for this much money. And if you're doing health coaching, let's say, then you need to kind of connect the dots for people. It's like, well, why should someone pay you $84 a month or $5,000 a month for health coaching? And so you need to take them to that place where they see the value. It's like, think about insurance premiums, hospital stays, dying early. How many people on their deathbed would give anything for one more day or week or year? Right. And so you need to connect the dots if you're not like in a how to make money or business type of niche. Relationships, if you're saving a relationship, think of the cost of divorce and someone taking half your stuff or whatever it is. But you need to connect the dots for people so that they see that the value is so much more than what you're charging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So really, like the secret sauce is kind of those two things together.
It's that simple. That's what's so cool is you can troubleshoot your marketing. It's like, why aren't people buying from me? Well, they either don't believe that you can get them the results that they really want, or you're not giving them enough value for the money you're asking for.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that brings me to the end of my questions. However, that's not the end of our session. So what I like to do is I like to do a little brand quiz at the end of our brand success recording. And this is not a quiz that you can fail. It's a preference quiz, okay? Sure. So here are the preferences. And then just like one sentence as to why you like that brand over the other. So the first brand is Pepsi versus Coke. Which do you prefer and why?
So I mean, I already can tell you that I prefer Diet Coke. Like that's what I always. So, I don't think I'm going to have the other brands you mentioned, whatever they are. But yeah, so but my reason for liking it is that's what I grew up with. That's what my dad drank. So that's kind of what was always around. And you hear these little things about people joking. Is Pepsi okay? People never say is Coke okay. So that reinforces okay. I like the right one. But but I'm sure Pepsi drinkers have their own reasons for liking Pepsi. But yeah, I would say Coke.
Well, Pepsi drinkers might like Pepsi because Coke's not available. That's what they say in the commercials, right? Right. So really there's a lesson there, and that is legacy. Like if you grew up with it, you are much more likely to continue to be loyal to that brand.
Yeah.
Okay. BMW versus Mercedes.
Whew. I'm going to say Mercedes. I hear a lot of stereotypes about BMW drivers. In fact, I just read a funny joke this morning, and it was something like, they say that light is faster than sound, but how come I hear the horn of the BMW driver behind me before the light changes? So, so that's a coincidence. I just read that this morning. My wife is German, though, and I think her perception over there is, or at least her perception is Mercedes is better. That's the example she always uses with me. So whenever she's talking about a high-end car, she'll say, I can't pronounce it in German, Mercedes or whatever, but Mercedes. And she almost never uses BMW as a reference. So I would say Mercedes, but again, that's based on my own unique experiences. And some of that, what you hear on TV shows and jokes and stuff like that can influence how we feel.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so you're in Colorado, so this might not resonate with you at all, but the Orioles versus the Phillies.
I'm not a sports guy at all. What came to mind when you said Orioles, I that's the one that I like better because it sounds like Oreos, the cookie, but that's the only reason. When you said Orioles, I thought Oreos, and so I thought, right. So no, I have no sporting brand preferences.
Okay, Uber versus Lyft.
Yeah, so definitely Uber. I heard about Uber first. My brother, who's a high-end programmer, when Uber was first started coming out, talked about how you could integrate Uber into new apps for phones, like connect them to Uber and stuff like that. Another brother of mine talked about going on vacation with his family and how they just Ubered everywhere. This is when it was still new. Right. And so I've got both apps on my phone, but I always go to Uber. They're the one I hear about more often. And the context of Lyft, I usually hear of like, oh, I've got a coupon code for Lyft. But as far as like that stronger brand, I think of Uber, and that's what you kind of hear out in the TV, radio, news world.
Yeah, definitely. So there again, the brand lesson there is the first guy in is usually the guy who, captures the market and, kind of is known in the market so much earlier. It's kind of like the whole Kleenex thing or, other examples of first in the market becomes the name of the category. So, okay. So job well done. One more question, and this is not a preference question. So there was recently a report released on the most loved brands in America, and this was in 2019, a couple months ago.
Okay.
So what would you say is the top most loved brand in America? And I'll just give you a couple clues. So with this brand, you can buy anything. And this brand is probably one of the most innovative giants in the marketplace.
Oh, well, before you said innovative, I was going to guess MasterCard or Visa, and which, by the way, I've kind of noticed a shift. It used to be Master Charge, if you can remember back that long ago. But
wow, yeah.
MasterCard, right? And they were kind of the leader, but Visa seems to have dominated the market. But then when you said it was innovative, it made me think PayPal. And now I'm thinking there might be something else. because I don't know. I mean, in the coaching world, a lot of people use PayPal, but I don't know about outside of the coaching world.
Right. Yeah. So I think as far as coaches go, probably PayPal would win out over, well, I don't know. There's Stripe and Square and, some other people who are doing innovative things too. But out of the whole consumer market, if you were going to buy something, where would you go?
Gotcha. Yeah. It used to be eBay, and now I would say Amazon.
Ding, ding, ding. That's it. So Amazon was voted the top #1 most loved brand in America.
Yeah.
Google was #2, by the way. Okay. So we have come to the end of our recording time. And my friends out there who are listening and watching, you've just learned the secret sauce to brand success for Rob Goyette and his fast revenue coaching. I highly recommend that you take a look at it if you are a coach, because I can speak from experience that it really does work. It's a great program. And Rob, where should people find you?
Good question, Kay. If I was a good branding person, how about fastrevenuecoaching.com? Yeah, you can either go to fastrevenuecoaching.com or you can add /webinar. They both go to the same place, so why not take the easier one? Yeah, if you go to fastrevenuecoaching.com, you can register for the webinar. It's only 26 minutes, which is kind of cool because a lot of people hate these longer webinars.
I know.
So it's a 26-minute webinar. You can watch the replay right away or schedule for a time. It's automated, but you can schedule for a time to watch it.
Great. Okay, everybody. That's the end of our recording, and we're going to call that a wrap. Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kay. Bye, everybody.
You just heard another great formula for brand success. What's your secret sauce or magic formula? Post your story on our Facebook page called Brand Buzz. Then come back soon for the next brand success story that's cooking up right now.